Hi friends, thanks for joining me. It's Morag here, and today I am going to be using the incredible August kits. And as you can see, it is jam-packed full of pretty colours and lovely elements. And I shall be using this die, the Honeycomb die, to create some texture on my page, and I shall also be using it as a stencil. So to begin with, let me tell you about the August kits. It arrived on my desk and I really couldn't wait to get started. It's absolutely chock-a-block full of exclusive goodies and they're so pretty. I pulled out some of the chipboard elements from the main kit. I pulled out the things that look like lemons or grapefruits, and I really have it in my mind to create a border, a mixed border of these beautiful fruits, as well as tuck in some flowers and other ephemera. So as you can see, I've pulled out one of the pattern papers from the main kit and I've torn it diagonally across the bottom, and that's where I shall be placing my border of ephemera. So I'm scrapping a 6x4 photo for a good friend of mine, and she was on holiday with her grandson there, and it was a super cute photo, just perfect for the strawberries and lemonade and so on. Absolutely love this paper. So you know when you fall in love with some papers, and look at that pink one with the little flowers. Although in this case I shall just use it to double matte my photo. So I wanted to balance out the colours that I'm using, because there's a lot of lemons and pink colours in the ephemera that I want to use, and I just wanted to balance that against the blue. So I do like to rough up my edges with a distressing tool, just for a little bit more texture. And as you can see, I've already die cut several of those honeycomb pieces, and I've used the cardstock from this month, so there's a lovely lime green colour in that cardstock kit. And what I intend to do is, as you can see here, I'm just going to overlap all the bits and pieces and have some of the honeycomb poking out behind for extra texture. So incidentally, the pieces are made up of some fussy cut flowers from one of the pattern papers, as well as die cuts from the main kit and embellishment kit. So you get the rough idea of what I'm aiming for. So I'm just going to use one of the die cut honeycomb pieces and a fine blending tool, and I'm just going to use that as a stencil. And I'm just using some Distress Oxide ink, which came with this month's colour kit. So this is Squeeze Lemonade, and in a moment I shall also use saltwater taffy just to lay some colour down behind that border. And this is what I love about die cutting, because you pay for the tool once, it lasts forever, so they never break, so they last forever, and they're so versatile. So in this case I am using it as a stencil, and in a moment you'll see how I add some extra texture to my border using the same die cuts. So I love the effect here. You don't see too much of it at the end, of course, because I'll end up covering most of it up. I didn't really match up I've just laid them down as I wanted to lay them down. So I didn't really fuss too much about lining everything up, just for a bit of speed. Look at this delicious paper that's coming out. So I think Kimberly knows me really well, because the colours this month are my absolute favourite. So like a minty blue colour, pinks, lemons, what's not to like? In fact, I think my video here, it looks a little bit dull because it really doesn't do it justice. It looks so much better in real life. So I'm just going to put an extra border below my main paper. So I'm just using my tearing ruler just to help me get a kind of an even edge. And I do like to curl up those edges just for a little bit more texture as well. So I'm going to stick that in place. I seem to be a little bit sticking challenged on this one. It takes me ages to get it straight for some bizarre reason. Tried lining up the edges and then it moved, and then oh, you'd think I'd never scrapped before. Does that happen to you? I don't know, I just made something easy look really hard to do. Anyhow. So I did want to have both edges showing because otherwise it would be pointless. But a lot of it gets covered up by my border anyway, so I just had to kind of go with the flow. So normally I would trim off that back edge just so I'd piece the background together. But I was feeling rather generous and kept my background piece whole. And I'm just going to shorten the top piece a little bit because I've added that border. So for me, I did want, you know, maybe a third of the layout to be showing at the bottom. I feel like sometimes you've got to have just the right amount for it to work. And I'd already kind of stenciled underneath anyway. So those die cut honeycomb pieces, I didn't want them, you know, with a very straight edge, of course. So I've snipped out bits and pieces to give it a bit of an uneven look, really. So this is the fun part, really layering up those pieces. As I mentioned, the flowers were cut out from the pattern paper. And I'm trying to choose a mixture of the pink, the blue and lemon with a little tad of orange and then an accent of green. So that's quite a few colours really. But yes, I think, I just love how this turned out. I could make another dozen layouts like this, I think. I'd be very happy. In fact, if you see a lot in the next few weeks, you'll know why. So I'm just going through the chipboard pieces from the main kit, as well as some embellishments from the, let me just check, that is also cardstock ephemera in the main kit. There's a lot in the main kit this month, isn't there? So many. And the thing is, each pack has got, you know, 50, 60 items in there, which is incredible, absolutely amazing. There's always so much left over at the end, I think, even though I've put heaps onto my pages. So this is the embellishment kit that you can see there. I will be using some of the, do they call them, it was not vellum this month, what is it? I'm going to check that out. But basically, there's loads that you could tuck into this border. So I get to a point where I kind of faff around and move things about, forget where I've put things, and I think at some point you just have to stick down, because otherwise you'll just end up like I did, spend an hour messing around and then forgetting where you were. So I cut, I think maybe 3 or 4 of the honeycomb die cut pieces, and I've chopped them up into smaller pieces because I just want a little bit poking out behind my border here and there. And I just love the effect that it's given, because I could have just had the border, but I do like the extra bit of texture that has given, for sure. So normally I forget to do this part until I've stuck down, but I did want to add some splatters. And I didn't realise, you can't see what I've done there, but I've just laid that ink down, the Distress Oxide ink, onto a messy mat, diluted it with water, and then I've taken a round paintbrush just to pick up that ink and then just flick that down onto the background. You know, at the end of the day, I know there are dozens of inks out there, but you really, you know, Distress Oxides every day. They're just so versatile, aren't they? I'm sure you'll find that as well. So now I've taken everything off, I've got to kind of remember where I put everything, And in the end, I just decide I'll just stick it down and work on it as I go along. So if you fancy having a go at this border design, then you'll need to pull out the chipboard and die cuts and some foam tape. And I think the secret to this working is overlapping everything, of course. So maybe position the larger pieces or the more significant pieces first. So they're evenly spaced across the page, and then backfill with the smaller pieces or the quieter pieces, as it were. Or you can just do what I'm doing and go haphazard. But I think in my mind, I had been clear in my mind that the very large chipboard pieces would be kind of spaced along that border. And then I tried to space out the pinks and the oranges, although I guess you could go with a kind of an ombre affair where you could coordinate your blues together, the lemons together, then the orange and pink. I think that would look really pretty as well. So as you can see, I'm just sticking down some bits and pieces of that honeycomb, the die cut honeycomb, which is actually green in real life. It's a bit hard to see. And I'm just taking my time just to curl those edges up here and there. So I'll continue to set up the pieces. I think when I'm looking at this, I had those very round slices of lemon and grapefruit, and then had that lemonade chipboard. So I've kind of tried to space those out rather than cluster them all together. And then I've punctuated the design with those flowers, tucked in some extra leaves, which I'd fussy cut from that pattern paper as well. This was just simply so much fun to create. I really didn't want to end. So once I'd done the board, I was like, oh, I need to put some more things in. And maybe I could have set it a little bit higher so you could see the paper underneath a little bit more as well. But I'd say in real life, it's turned out so well. I've really enjoyed the process as well. So when I've fussy cut those leaves, I've actually bent them as well to give them a little bit of extra shape. And I like that. So, and I think the green helps to ground those multitude of colours and kind of run all the way through. So I think that helps it to work better. I think you could just add puffy stickers to this, as well as more die cuts and so on. But I really wanted to use these acetate hearts that came in the embellishment kit. Each one has got a tiny little bit of gold accent, so a little word. And I love the way that they are kind of semi-transparent, so you can see the designs underneath. So again, it's another layer without being too heavy, which I really like. So yep, don't forget your title. So I love that title, Main Squeeze. I do decide that I'm going to tuck one of the fussy cut lemons underneath, just to make that a little bit more extra, if that's the word. I'm not sure it is the word. So I ended up doing a little bit more off camera because I like to look at things and then just add a little bit more and a little bit more. So I've added some of the pearls that you get with the, I think that must be the main kit by the looks of it. And there's that acetate though, oh, they're just so pretty. And look at all the layers and the texture. It's just all came together so well. I really hope you've enjoyed this layout and the process, and will give it a go yourself. I would love to see what you do, so be sure to tag me in the Hip Kit Club group with your version, and hopefully I will see you on the next video. So thanks so much for joining me, and I will see you next time. Take care now. Bye.